Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Unmatched Intellectually. Unmatched Intellectually. It's not enough to be unequally yoked for some people. They are not connected spiritually. They're not connected at times physically. And then throw in, they're not matched intellectually. There are people in this world who don't read very well at all or not at all. There are still people in this world that have trouble writing. And even though they look very handsome, very beautiful, they may even have a lot of sense about them. As time goes on, you realize that you are not matched intellectually. The woman or the man cannot converse with you in the way that you think they should at their age, okay? They don't reason in a way that makes logical sense. And this sort of thing can be quite frustrating. Why is it that when we communicate, it seems like he's off in left field somewhere? Why is it that when I sit down and I try to communicate how I feel, she steamrolls over my feelings? The more I try to talk to learn more about this woman or this man, all he or she ever wants to do is have sex. Unmatched intellectually. I want more out of a relationship besides laughing all the time. I want more out of a relationship besides someone always complimenting me on how I look. I want more out of a relationship besides talking about family, friends, co-workers. There is more to me than meets the eye. When you are with someone who doesn't respect you intellectually, because in time they don't respect you because they don't have what you have, you start to build up a bit of resentment. You start to have an attitude. You tend to be a bit quick-tempered. You're very impatient with the person. I can't believe this person can be so ignorant. You become a bit judgmental. And then when they really say something that's off the wall, like call you a name or two, out comes every insult you could possibly think of, including using words that they don't even understand. What word is that? Don't worry about it. Trust me, it's a really bad word. So when you realize that this person cannot meet you intellectually, you have a choice. You can either be that one who wants to play teacher in a relationship, but how long that works? Because you see, after a while, a person doesn't want you to teach them. I'm in a relationship with you. You're my lover, or you're my companion, or my wife or husband, or what have you. You are not my teacher. Okay? Nobody wants to be in a household all day, every day with a person who acts like a teacher. And this is why some of these relationships are not as good as they could be, because somebody wants to play teacher. I went to college and I learned this and I learned that, and so I'm going to share it with you. And at first that person might be open, but then in time, okay, you're starting to get on my nerves. Every time when we talk, you have a lesson. Okay? That's why I reserve a lot of my lessons to these audios. And then there are those moments where with the children, I'm having the sit down conversation that's lasting for quite a long time, depending on what we're talking about. And then I have to cut my conversation when talking to my husband. And then when I'm talking to friends, well, I usually let them dominate conversations. And I'll be honest with you, some of the conversations are quite enlightening and helpful and fun. But then some of the other ones, I'm ready to go. You see, I'm ready to go. I only have a limited amount of time and patience for silly stuff, okay? So we have some individuals who intellectually unmatched, unequally yoked, a lot of uncomfortable possibly with the conversations, because you start to see where a person, their eyes are looking down or around, or they're busying themselves because what you're saying is way over my head. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm just going to act as if everything else is more important right now than what's coming out of your mouth. That's not honest behavior. I mean, one should simply say, listen, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm glad you're passionate about it. I'm glad that's something that interests you. But no, it's something that my brain just can't wrap my head around it. You see? If you want a quality relationship with someone, you have to be honest from the start. Honest from the start in terms of what you want out of the relationship, what you're willing to give, what you're willing to learn, educate yourself on. If I don't want to do any of those things, then it is best just to be upfront and let the person know. Because to be with someone who doesn't respect what you do, to be with someone who doesn't understand most often what you're communicating, can make you feel so lonely, make you feel at times angry. You might find yourself being disrespectful toward the person because they're not catching on. You may come off as being arrogant, a snooty person. And when you really love someone, you're going to pipe all that down. When you really love someone, you're not going to insult them by calling them all sorts of names because they don't like what you like. They don't understand what you're saying. Sometimes people will give each other the silent treatment, having had a huge argument about the failure to communicate, whatever the subject matter might have been. And so now there is not only the hurt feelings about what was said during that argument, but now here comes the silent treatment. And that has its way of being a bit arrogant. I don't want to talk to you because, well, you're not on the same level as me. I don't want to talk to you because you're just so young, and I knew it was a mistake to get myself involved with a young person. I don't want to deal with you because there's so many other people I could talk to about whatever. You see, once again, the relationship is under fire. And when you don't recognize it, you don't fix it. When you are unwilling to change, things don't work. And then eventually the woman ends up finding somebody who is more compatible. The man ends up finding someone who may have less education because he feels more comfortable talking to someone who doesn't know so much. And yes, this sort of thing does take place. To avoid the argument, to avoid the challenge, to avoid the sparring partner who could actually refine you like fire, I'm going to find someone else, says the gentleman, who's going to make me feel like I'm smart. I'm going to find someone else, she says, that's going to esteem me because I have so much knowledge. A troubling reality for some people, but that's the direction that they're headed because they realize he or she just doesn't get me. I'm too smart for him or her. I'm too clever. I have too much education. I have too much expertise. My mama, my daddy, my sister, my brother, what have you said, I need to be with people who are at my level or above, you see. And even though that sounds bad for some people, and it's just like, wow, I mean, people are really like this, and I hope my partner's not like this type of thing. Well, they are like that. It's a reality. And if you don't want to deal with that, or you're tired of having those battles, or you have yet to uncover that side, but when you do, you will need to make some decisions as to whether or not you are going to be able to deal with that person who you are unmatched intellectually. Some folks know, look, all I got is whatever their education or lack thereof. All I hope is that he'll just love me anyway. Or I just hope that the family will be respectful toward me. And then they find out that no. Then they will go so far as to pretend, the one with the lesser education, lesser knowledge, or what have you. I'm just going to pretend. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll show them. Start reading dictionaries and trying to take various words and place them in their vocabulary to get their message across. And meanwhile, they pick the wrong word, the wrong adjective. Oh, wait a minute. Is that an adverb or is that a, you see? And they're worrying themselves just to impress some people rather than be themselves. God called us to be ourselves. Some of the knowledge that I received was from a woman who, as I referred to in other audio, she didn't know how to read. Okay? She didn't know how to read, and she could barely write. So I give credit on some of these audios to a woman who was uneducated. Okay? Yes, at times I had to sit down and talk with her in such a way where it wasn't going to be about my college education. It was going to be about listening to the realness of who she was at the time and learn. Can I tell you that you don't always learn from people who have degrees? Some of you all who already have numerous degrees, you listen to these audio messages and you are able to glean information because God himself gave me that wisdom, that knowledge. Many, many, many of these audios, I have written nothing down. There was no outline. Initially, when I first started these audios, I did sit down and I was writing things down, and the Lord told me, I will give you the words to speak. And to be quite honest, I didn't believe that he could do something like that. And then when he did, it blew my mind. I had to play the audios back, and even to this day, I have to play the audios back just to get the information myself, just like you, and sit back and meditate. So just imagine being with an individual who does not respect the spiritual side of who you are, does not want to have that dialogue with you, finds that what you're doing is ignorant, is stupid. Smart people don't get down with the spiritual stuff. You have a fight on your hands. You have a fight on your hands because every time when God moves on your spirit to do something or say something, the individual is going to laugh at some point or mock you in some other way or try to take the God that you serve right from underneath you or above you. I'm telling you in the name of Jesus right now, may the Lord be with you. Those who you want to make some things work, but it's just not panning out. Because every time you bring some type of conversation, communication, there's the eye rolls, there's the deep sighs, there's the walking away, there's one busying his or herself, getting on the phone, talking to others about how you think you're so smart, you're so this, that, and the other. God hears all of that, and I'm telling you that these people who do this sort of thing, God sets it up so that the relationship sooner or later separates. One divorces. People move on with their lives. I thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. Take a moment to pray for yourself and pray for those individuals who consider themselves to be above or better than. And also pray for those individuals who think that people who are smarter or they have more education. Oh, they think they're so much better and all this. Just pray for these individuals, because we know that the Lord doesn't want that type of division between us. If there's any commonality, it should be belief. And then 9 times out of 10, you find out that somebody really doesn't believe like you do. And that is a root cause of a lot of problems in relationships too, is once again, there's the unequally yoked business that goes on with two people. You should have never got involved with the person who is the unbeliever, but now that you did, now you're trying to pray that person toward Christ. And I'll tell you that sometimes people are not going to go toward Christ, not in your lifetime. So, may the Lord be with you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. May God richly bless you as well as those that you love. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment.